In the shadowed sands of Giza, 1928, beneath the relentless Egyptian sun, a group of archaeologists unearthed something impossible. Not a tomb, not a treasure, a ring. Massive and ancient, composed of a metal unknown to Earth, etched with symbols resembling constellations, it exuded an eerie aura of power and silence. This was no artifact of man. Decades passed before the device's secrets were unlocked, not by governments or warriors, but by a brilliant and discredited linguist named Dr. Daniel Jackson, whose radical theories had been laughed out of every institution until he was approached by a secretive military project desperate for answers. Jackson saw the truth in the symbols, not words but coordinates. Coordinates not of Earth, but of stars. When the ring was activated through a complex dialing sequence, it erupted in a vortex of liquid light. A wormhole stable and immediate, connecting Earth to the distant world of Abydos. A team of soldiers led by Colonel Jack O'Neill accompanied Jackson through the portal, stepping across the stars into a desert world under twin suns, inhabited by humans living in fear of a godlike tyrant who called himself R.A. He was no god. He was an alien, a parasitic being of the species known as the Goa'uld, who had taken a human host millennia ago and used advanced technology to enslave thousands, posing as deities from Earth's ancient pantheons. R.A. had used the Stargate to transport humans from Earth, creating a network of slave worlds and ensuring his dominion across the galaxy. On Abydos, Jackson uncovered a truth that reshaped history. The pyramids were not tombs but landing platforms. Human civilization had been seeded by alien hands. The team rebelled. With the help of Abydonian allies, they overthrew R.A., detonating a nuclear device aboard his ship and collapsing his empire. Jackson chose to remain behind with his new wife Shari, while O'Neill and the team returned to Earth. But Earth had awoken the Stargate, and others had heard. A year later, when a new threat emerged through the gate, serpent-armored warriors who attacked a military outpost and kidnapped soldiers, Stargate Command was formed deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain, tasked with defending Earth and exploring the stars. O'Neill was recalled, and with him came a new team, SG-1. Daniel Jackson, seeking his lost wife, taken by the Goa'uld. Captain Samantha Carter, an Air Force astrophysicist with unmatched technical expertise. And Teal C, a defector from the enemy ranks, a Jaffa, one of the enslaved warriors who carried Goa'uld larvae within their bodies and served as incubators for their masters. Teal C betrayed his god, Apophis, to fight for freedom. Together, SG-1 ventured through the gate, encountering new civilizations, ancient technologies, and mounting threats. They discovered that the Goa'uld were not alone. Beneath the ancient myths were deeper truths. The Asgard, beings of great wisdom and benevolence who inspired Norse mythology. The Nox, pacifist mystics beyond comprehension. And the Ancients, the original builders of the Stargates, who had long ago ascended to a higher plane of existence. Each mission expanded humanity's understanding of the galaxy and its peril. Enemies grew more powerful. The Goa'uld system lords, each posing as a different Earth god, warred among themselves but united against Earth when threatened. The replicators, technological nightmares born of misguided creation, devoured all they encountered. And later, from another galaxy, came the Ori, ascended beings who demanded worship and threatened to consume all lower life in holy fire. Through it all, SG-1 endured. They formed alliances. They built the Stargate Alliance. They forged peace where they could and fought where they must. Jackson ascended, died, returned. Carter unlocked forbidden knowledge and battled both gods and machines. Teal C became a leader of his people, freeing the Jaffa from slavery. And O'Neill, gruff and sarcastic, became Earth's guardian, But they were not alone. New teams formed. New heroes rose. On a distant world called Atlantis, a city ship built by the ancients lay dormant beneath an ocean. It was discovered by an international expedition led by Dr. Elizabeth Weir and military commander John Shepard. The city had been launched to the Pegasus galaxy thousands of years ago, fleeing a war with the wraith vampiric beings who fed on human life. Atlantis awakened them, and a new war began. The Atlantis expedition, cut off from Earth, faced unimaginable odds, forming alliances with local civilizations while battling both wraith and rogue ancients. They unlocked secrets buried deep in ancient code and ancient memory. Another team on Stargate universe would later find themselves aboard the Destiny, an ancient vessel traveling between galaxies, launched long before Atlantis, seeking the very origin of existence. These explorers, thrown together by chance and tragedy, struggled for survival aboard a ship with failing systems and secrets they barely understood, pursued by alien forces and haunted by questions far greater than war. All of it, Ra, Abydos, the gold, the ancients, Atlantis, the Ori, the Destiny, stemmed from that single moment in Giza. A buried ring. A question asked. A gate opened. The universe forever changed. The war against the gold did not end with the fall of a single system lord. It spread like wildfire across the stars, igniting rebellions and drawing Earth into conflicts of galactic scale. Anubis, once believed dead, returned, not truly living, not fully ascended. A half-ascended being cast out by the ancients, cloaked in shadow, wielding technologies far beyond those of the other gold. He sought not only conquest, but annihilation. With a fleet of Hatak vessels powered by ancient knowledge and armies of Kull warriors, nearly unstoppable super soldiers, Anubis began erasing resistance world by world. Earth stood alone, vulnerable, but not unprepared. Thanks to reverse engineering alien technology and the alliances formed by SG-1, the Tauri, as Earth was known among the stars, had begun constructing their own warships, the Prometheus followed by the Daedalus, Odyssey, and Apollo. These vessels, armed with railguns, energy weapons, and shields adapted from gold and Asgard tech, gave Earth the means to fight in space. The Asgard, wise and ancient, offered more than technology, they offered trust. But their time was ending. Beset by a genetic disease they could not cure, the Asgard committed mass extinction by choice, transferring their legacy into the hands of humanity before ending their race. Their knowledge, their wisdom, their power, all entrusted to the Tauri. With Anubis ultimately defeated by the ancients' own weapons, and through the bravery of unlikely allies, the galaxy shifted again. The free Jaffa nation was born from the ashes, no longer servants of false gods. But freedom bred new chaos. Power vacuums formed. New threats emerged. The Ori rose from another plane, from a distant corner of the universe where ancient cousins had embraced worship, rather than ascension through knowledge. The Ori offered enlightenment, but their light burned like fire. They demanded devotion, and through their human followers, known as priors, they spread the religion of origin with terrible force. Galactic genocide followed. Massive ships called Ori motherships tore through fleets, fueled by the energy of belief itself. SG-1 searched desperately for a way to stop them, uncovering the Ark of Truth, an ancient device capable of delivering pure understanding to its viewers, breaking the control of the Ori's lies. With it, the war ended. But the cost had been staggering. All the while, in the Pegasus galaxy, Atlantis stood as both beacon and battleground. Dr. Weir, then Colonel Shepard, faced repeated invasions from the Wraith, genetically engineered beings who had overwhelmed the ancients 10,000 years earlier. Wraith were once human, evolved from a failed experiment with the Iratus bug, and now they fed on human life to sustain their own. They slept in vast hives, awoken only by the stirrings of life. Atlantis reawakened them. Again and again, the city came under siege. From space, from within, from the shadows of the sea. But humanity endured. Rodney McKay, arrogant yet brilliant, cracked impossible code. Taylor Emigon of the Athosians bridged the gap between Earth and native peoples. Ronan Dex, last of a fallen world, became a sword against the darkness. They uncovered the legacy of Janus, a rogue ancient who had left behind forbidden technologies. They activated ancient drones, zero-point modules, even moved the city through space to escape destruction. The Wraith fractured. Some sought peace. Others sought supremacy. A Wraith named Todd emerged as a reluctant ally, his motivations shifting like desert sands, but his utility undeniable. The replicators reappeared, a new strain born of ancient design, artificial life with a god complex. They nearly wiped out the Wraith, but their cruelty knew no limits. Atlantis, under new command, ultimately destroyed them in a final, desperate assault. And when Earth was threatened by a superhive traveling faster than light, Atlantis returned, flying across galaxies, to defend its birthplace. It landed on Earth, its shields flickering, but its people victorious. Still, the journey did not end there. Far beyond, on the ancient vessel Destiny, a new crew found themselves cast adrift. Scientists, soldiers, civilians, all stranded aboard a ship that predated Atlantis, launched by the ancients to follow the path of the cosmic microwave background radiation, to find the source, the origin of everything. With no way home, they struggled for survival. The ship's systems were damaged. Resources were scarce. But hope remained. Eli Wallace, a genius with untapped potential, unlocked systems thought inaccessible. Colonel Everett Young led the crew with iron will and fractured loyalty. Chloe Armstrong, Lieutenant Scott, Dr. Rush, each carried burdens, secrets, and hopes. Rush, driven by obsession, sought control of Destiny's mission above all else. What they found were worlds untouched by time, ancient devices, alien threats, and the haunting question: had the ancients found something, or had something found them? They were pursued by the drones, mechanical hunters programmed to destroy. They lost friends. They gained purpose. And at last, when all paths had closed, the crew entered stasis. Destiny continued its mission, silent and eternal, crossing the void between galaxies with its sleeping souls aboard. The Stargate, the gateway to stars, to gods, to death and rebirth, remained, waiting, always waiting, for the next dial, the next journey, the next story to begin. Beneath the quiet of dormant stargates, across forgotten worlds, the legacy of the ancients endured. Their ruins, technologies, and enigmas scattered across galaxies like breadcrumbs in the dark. From the scorched remnants of Dakara to the submerged corridors of Lanti, every echo of their presence drew new seekers, explorers, tyrants, saviors. The Tauri, seasoned by war and hardened by loss, continued to hold the line between ancient power and present peril. But victory had not made them idle. With Atlantis now relocated to Earth, research accelerated. New applications of ancient technology gave rise to more sophisticated starships, advanced medical techniques, and defensive systems Earth could scarcely have imagined when the Stargate first opened. Yet curiosity has its cost. Newly activated gates led to relic worlds, each with unique and terrible challenges. Temporal loops, living machines, planets suspended in dimensional flux. Some offered enlightenment, others annihilation. In one instance, SG teams discovered a planet where time moved faster, where hours on the surface equaled years elsewhere. They watched a civilization rise and fall in the span of a day, grappling with the horror of gods they never meant to be. The moral weight grew heavier. Earth had become a myth to many, a force whispered in fear or reverence, a symbol of defiance against false gods and crushing inevitability. But even as the Tauri ascended in influence, they remained mortal, fallible, divided. The political landscape shifted as nations debated the role of the Stargate program. The International Oversight Advisory tightened its grip. Diplomatic tension flared with the Free Jaffa Nation, which struggled to unify under a single banner. Some factions sought alliance. Others sought revenge. One rogue Jaffa sect, obsessed with vengeance and tradition, nearly resurrected the Goa'uld Order with cloned symbiotes and ancient warships. SG-1 intervened. Again, the galaxy teetered. Again, the team prevailed. New enemies emerged from silence. The Lucian Alliance, born from the power vacuum left by the Goa'uld collapse, grew into a criminal empire. Smugglers, pirates, and ex-servants of the system lords joined forces. They trafficked weapons, narcotics, and slaves, challenging the Tauri in skirmishes that escalated to full conflict. Their greatest assault came when they tried to seize the Destiny Project. They boarded the ship. They nearly succeeded. But internal chaos, divided loyalties, and the resilience of Destiny's crew turned the tide. On Earth, revelations surfaced, hidden files, buried operations, shadow agencies tied to alien interactions dating back decades. Not all secrets were kept by the SGC. Not all actors served Earth's interest. The Trust, a cabal formed from XNID operatives, had infiltrated global institutions. Some members were even hosts to Goa'uld. They detonated bombs, sowed mistrust. SG-1 dismantled their operations piece by piece, uncovering the breadth of their influence. And still, the stars called. The Atlantis expedition prepared for a return. Plans were drawn to bring the city back to Pegasus, to reclaim its legacy, to reignite exploration. New personnel were trained, fresh minds brought into the fold. The next gate travelers, born not in awe but expectation, stood on the shoulders of legends. Children of the gate. As Destiny continued its journey, asleep and steadfast, and Atlantis held quiet vigil over Earth, the Stargate remained open, waiting for new symbols to be dialed, for new myths to be written, for the great wheel to turn again. Because through every war, through every discovery and loss, the truth endured that the Stargate was never just a device. It was a question, promise, a beginning without end.